Apple has just released iOS 18.6 and I have good news and bad news. Let's talk about that. How is it going, everybody? You're watching Then About Tech, and yes, iOS 18.6 is finally here, and it's the 6th big update of iOS 18. And I want to start this video with the good news, and then let's talk about the bad news, all right? So if you've been following this channel and pretty much any other channel, you have probably seen that iOS 18.5, so the previous iOS version, was full of bugs, issues, and problems related to overheating, battery drain, and a lot of bugs in general. So performance and user experience was really bad. I actually made a dedicated video just about this here on the channel a couple months ago. And the good news is iOS 18.6 pretty much fixes all of that. It took a very long time for Apple to develop, polish, and finish iOS 18.6, and that's definitely why, because they had a ton of bugs and issues and problems, and yes, they have fixed it, most of them, in iOS 18.6. So the first thing I have to tell you is performance overall and experience and choppiness and little bugs here and there, it's pretty much gone. iOS 18.6 is extremely smooth, extremely fluid, and I'm loving the experience. Same goes with battery. We had a ton of problems related to battery in iOS 18.5 especially. So overheating, like most people's iPhones were getting really hot, and now it's pretty much gone. I've just been using for a few days iOS 18.6, but I can tell you I haven't noticed any kind of issues like that related to battery. Again, battery drain as well. So Apple did a very good job making iOS 18.6 extremely fluid, stable, and nice. The thing is, they're doing this pretty much at the end of the iOS 18 cycle. We're just a couple months away from the release of iOS 26, so we were actually expecting this kind of performance and stability and polishness in general like a few months ago, not right now in the end of the run. So it's good news because it's good, right? iOS is better, but the timing is just really bad. And having this as the good news, in my opinion, is extremely frustrating. But in the end of the day, it's good news. You know how I'm always giving you the best tips and advice when we're talking about tech, right? Let's do a little bit more of that. Let's talk about today's video sponsor, Kinsta. So if you have a website, it's probably a WordPress website, right? That's what everyone uses, including myself. Regardless if you are a small business or a large business, if your website is important to your business, you have to listen to this message that I'm about to give you right now. Kinsta is simply my favorite web hosting service for WordPress website. Kinsta will help your website be faster. It's gonna give it speed, performance, security, and support. And when I say support, I'm talking about 24/7 support. So every day, all the time, and you're gonna be talking to real humans, not some chat AI bot or something like that. Just by switching to Kinsta, your website can get up to 200% faster, just like that, without doing anything else, just by migrating. And since we're talking about migrating, when you go ahead and switch to Kinsta, they will migrate your website for free. So it's hassle-free and it's money-free. So super simple. Oh, and on top of getting the free migration, you actually get the first month free when you sign up to Kinsta. So this is amazing. And there's also a 30-day money-back guarantee. Your website will thank you so much when you migrate to Kinsta. Go ahead and do it right now. Right here in the first link of the description, I have a dedicated link. Now, back to the video. I also want to talk about Apple Digital Key, specifically the 4.0 version. If you're not familiar with Apple Digital Key, is the feature which allows you to actually open, for example, hotel room doors. So if you're staying in a hotel, you don't need to actually use the physical card. You can use your iPhone to tap and open the door. And the same goes for your car keys. So let me give you an example. If I go ahead here and press on my side button twice, as if I was using Apple Pay, I can just go ahead and use this car key to actually open up my car. I don't even have to do it. Actually, you don't even have to authenticate with Face ID. As soon as you have it set up on your iPhone, you'll be able to actually lock and unlock your car, start your engine, and do a ton of other actions remotely, actually. So not only it will replace your car key, but actually give you more and more features. So the news about this, because this feature is a few years old actually, is that we're getting CarKeys 4.0. So it's not here yet. A lot of people were expecting to see it right now in iOS 18.6, but we're probably gonna see it just in the iOS 26 cycle. So probably in the next couple months. And that's because it's not just Apple that actually develops this and updates it. No, it's actually a consortium of a ton of companies. So you have car companies, you have tech companies, so you have Apple, Google, Samsung, and you also have like BMW, Ford, Mercedes-Benz, and so on. So they create this consortium and then they create rules, and of course they update this feature. So we expect to see CarKeys 4.0 very, very soon. And it may be extremely nice, like having the ability to completely replace your car keys, which we can already, but with even more features is amazing. And I'm pretty sure you're wondering right now, which cars can actually benefit from this feature? As you just saw, I have this feature on my iPhone, so which cars can actually benefit? And I do have a list that I'm gonna show you right now because it's a pretty long list. So as you can see, we have selected models from Audi, BMW, and then we have BYD, Genesis, Hyundai, Kia, Lotus, Mini, Mercedes, and so on. And the list is not that long. And we just have a few models from each brand. So it's not like you have a car from one of these brands and you automatically have this feature. Generally, it's the newer cars that actually have it. And sometimes if you have a brand new car, sometimes it's not compatible. So right now, just this list that you saw, and of course, I'm gonna have it in the description as well. On top of that, Apple actually announced that very soon they'll have compatibility with a ton more brands like Acura, Chevrolet, Cadillac, GMC, Porsche, Rivian, Smart, Lucid Motors, Tata Motors, and a few more other Chinese brands as well. So even though this is not right now in iOS 18.6, but it's a developing subject and I decided to bring in this video so you are on par with what's new with Apple CarKeys and Apple CarKeys 4.0. And of course, we have to talk about the bad news. I mentioned that this software update had good news and bad news. And now I have to talk about the bad ones. And the biggest thing I have to tell you is we don't have pretty much anything new in iOS 18.6, even though it's a one-digit software update. So in theory, this is a big software update. We don't have pretty much anything new. So it's more like a bug fixing and like security updates, software update, just like we've seen quite a lot in this cycle of iOS 18, unfortunately. Of course, we have something new and I'm about to give you right now, but it's pretty much for the European Union. So now it's just easier and less complicated and less warning actually to download a marketplace from the web or download an app straight from the web. So as you know, in the European Union, if you have an iPhone, you can simply go ahead and download alternatives app stores. Like you don't have to rely solely on the app store, so you can download any alternative app store. And also you can download apps from the web, directly from the web, outside of the App Store as well. So we could already do this in the European Union, but now they actually made it easier with fewer warning screens and things like that. Pretty much before they would say, are you sure you want to do this? And now they're not like that. They will give you a small warning, but they will allow you to download stuff from the web much easier without you having to worry so much. Keep in mind, this is specifically to European Union user. Another bad part of iOS 18.6 has to do with Apple Intelligence. We have to be very, very clear here that no one really uses Apple Intelligence on their daily lives like we were supposed to or like we actually anticipated. I pretty much haven't seen anyone actually using Apple Intelligence that much, apart from like removing something from a photo or something very specific with ChatGPT. But in the end of the day, people generally open up the ChatGPT app or even open up the website of ChatGPT, and we don't really use Apple Intelligence. But even so, the bad news with iOS 18.6 is the fact that everybody was expecting that Apple would give support to Apple Intelligence in China. Because as you know, Apple Intelligence isn't available in China. So if you are physically in China, you can't use Apple Intelligence. Or if you have an iPhone that's actually Chinese, but when I say Chinese, I'm talking about made for the Chinese market, this device isn't compatible with Apple Intelligence either. So people just can't use it. Even if you buy a Chinese iPhone and then you are in the US, you can't use it simply because it's just not compatible with devices, with iPhones made for the Chinese market. And as I said, if you are physically there, you can't use it either, even if you have an American iPhone, for example. And a ton of people use iPhones in China, as you probably know, and a ton of people also buy iPhones that are actually Chinese model, and they just can't use Apple Intelligence. So everybody was waiting and expecting iOS 18.6 to finally get rid of this problem and Apple Intelligence to be actually compatible and available to the Chinese market iPhones. But it's a political thing. So we have news, we have reports that China actually decided not to go through with this process, and it has political reasons. And everybody knows what's going on right now, right? So it has nothing to do with the iPhones themselves. It has nothing to do with Chinese model iPhones. No. It has to do with this kind of situation that's going on right now between the United States and China. But Apple had made it very, very clear on their website that support is coming. So they actually stated that it will work even on older previous generations. So there's nothing wrong with Chinese phones and Chinese iPhones models. So it has to do with this situation. And as soon as it's cleared, so Apple Intelligence will actually work in China, and Chinese models will work with Apple Intelligence anywhere around the world. So that's pretty much it about iOS 18.6. Actually, I decided to make this video a little bit longer than usual and kind of a conversation between you and me. So not just letting you know like the technical stuff, like this is new, and this is new because of this and this and that. I decided to make it more like a chat, more like a news update, of course, talking about iOS 18.6, but other topics that actually goes around it as well. All right, so thanks a lot for watching. Please give me your feedback on this kind of video. I do appreciate it. So thank you very much. Bye bye, guys.